Welcome back to the Battle Camp. So before I start, just quickly, I'd really appreciate your support. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of March. So if you're watching this and you've watched previous videos or you enjoy what I've said here, please, 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 can you subscribe? Also, it doesn't hurt to hit the like button and comment and share this with your mates. So basically, on Friday, Matchroom and Eddie Hearn were kind of making a song and dance about the fact that they managed to break the MSG record for pre-sale tickets for a boxing event. So, Madison Square Garden obviously have an allocation of tickets that they were allowed to put on pre-sale before anyone else, and they did that on Friday. And all of those tickets, all of that allocation, sold out in 2 hours. So Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and everyone kind of connected to the fight were making a big deal about this, saying, "Wow, look at the response that we've got. Look at the interest that we've got for this fight. Anthony Joshua's coming here. He's going to make a massive splash across the pond, etc., etc." Now, just as soon as that press release came out, a load of people that I saw on YouTube and just generally on Twitter, etc., were questioning how basically they're questioning how real this information was. Effectively, they were accusing Eddie Hearn of buying out, some all a percentage of these tickets to give the perception that this fight is a big event and it is gathering a lot of pace with the paying public. Now, the reason I suppose behind this is um, from an Eddie Hearn point of view, the reason that he might want to do this is, I suppose, just you yourself or me and anyone in general. If you're walking on a high street and you're feeling a little bit hungry, and you see two restaurants that both do, I don't know, Italian food, one's full and one's empty, you're 99% more likely to go into the one that's full because you have a perception that that restaurant is better and the food's better in that restaurant. So I suppose we can apply the same sort of logic to this. Now that there's been this massive kind of news about, oh, the pre-sales broke a record for a boxing event at Madison Square Garden. People, general public sitting at home, both stateside and over in the UK, you might be thinking, oh man, I need to go to this event. It might kind of force people into making the decision now to buy a ticket for the next allocation when they next go on sale. So I think the Matchroom pre-sale went on sale today, and then general sale starts on Tuesday. So that might force people's hands into buying a ticket, whereas before they might have been a little bit on the fence that I'm not really sure. I probably will watch the fight, but I don't know if I'll go all the way to New York for it. So that's the logic behind it. Eddie Hearn buys, a load of the pre-sale tickets, and it kind of increases public awareness of the event and public kind of interest, and that will then generate more people or more ticket sales when the event goes in general sale. And I totally agree and subscribe to that theory, and I understand it. So at the time on Friday, when these theories were going around, I didn't bother making a video about it, just because there's no way of me knowing one way or another whether Eddie Hearn has bought an allocation of his tickets or whether he hasn't bought an allocation of his tickets. I can't verify this information, so I thought, oh, I better just keep my mouth shut because I don't really have an opinion, because I don't have enough information to make an informed opinion, let's say. So why am I making this video now? Because I read an article on World Boxing News, and that they spoke about the fact that this record was broken. But the thing that they mentioned in this article was the fact that a load of the tickets that got bought on Friday have already appeared on a secondary market site, which is Viagogo. So Viagogo, if you don't know, that rhymed, is basically a site where if I buy a ticket for an event, I can go to Viagogo, place my ticket onto Viagogo, and resell it effectively. So if for example, if I bought my ticket on the pre-sale for MSG for, I don't know, £100 or $100, I could go to Viagogo and stick it on there and try and sell it on for $200 or $300. So basically, make a profit on the ticket, even though I had no intention of actually going to the event, if that makes sense. So I'll put a link to this article on in the description of this video, and it was published on the 17th of February, which was yesterday. So I've only just seen it now, which is why I'm making this video. So that kind of, the reason why this is prompting me to make this video is because this is something that Eddie Hearn has been heavily accused of over here in the UK. So the accusations that come flying towards Eddie Hearn is they announce pricing for tickets, Matchroom announce pricing for tickets for shows, and then what they do is the tickets go on sale, and before you know it, a lot of these tickets get bought up, and then they appear back on StubHub, Viagogo, whatever other website you can buy tickets for events on, for an inflated price. And what the accusation is that this is all happening in-house in order to basically mask the fact that they're overcharging for these tickets, and to turn more of a revenue for the fights and the events. Again, I don't have any information for or against this accusation, so I don't really have anything to say when it comes to the UK. But what kind of makes me feel like this isn't the case with regards to the Joshua fight is simply because of where the fight is, New York. So in the UK, Matchroom have basically managed to create a business model or a feeling amongst the fans that when they announce a big event, that it's a can't miss event, whether that's on a pay-per-view point of view, the type of numbers that they're doing with the pay-per-view sales for people that watch it at home like myself, or whether that's in terms of how quickly they sell out events in the UK. And generally speaking, I mean, Wembley's only happens, or Wembley or the Principality Stadium doesn't happen ever so, that often. It's kind of once a year. What is kind of more usual is O2, Manchester Arena, Liverpool Echo Arena, things like that. And all of those events kind of sell out quickly, and then tickets start to appear on the secondary market. So Eddie Hearn's being accused of, of being a part of this and making more money on the side. But in this scenario, it's different because it's in the States. So it's not just the price of the ticket that you have to pay. It's also obviously flights and accommodation as well, which generally speaking will be a lot more than your ticket. Alongside that, you probably have to book days off work, etc. It's not just a day trip, going to an event and coming home. You're going to have to, obviously stay in a hotel, and you might have to book a couple of days off work as well. You might have to get a pass from the missus if you're not going to take her. So there's a lot more that goes into going to an event in the UK if you're going to an event in the States if you're from the UK, than it is to do it here in the UK, if that makes sense. So I suppose the point I'm trying to make here is these accusations of Eddie Hearn buying up the pre-sale tickets in this situation and in this scenario, strictly because it's in New York, I'm not sure I believe it. And the reason I say this is, I've already given you one reason, is the fact that it's New York, and it's a big trek for people from the UK to get over there to watch the fight. And the second thing is, if he did buy the tickets and then inflate the value of them and place them, on secondary market sites to try and get more money from the fans, that's a very risky tactic. And what you could end up with is a load of tickets that no one buys, and you've effectively just taken money out of your right pocket and put it in your left pocket, and you're still at square one, and you've got an empty arena. Now, it's important I'm saying this about the empty arena because this is Anthony Joshua's first fight in the States. Now, the amount of shit that Eddie Hearn talked about the Fury and the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight. Oh yeah, they haven't sold it out yet, have they? They haven't managed to sell out the arena, have they? Oh, the pay per view numbers. Oh, the numbers aren't great. The stuff that he said about that fight. Why would he risk it happening to his own fight that he's promoting in New York? To my mind, he wants a packed arena because pay per view numbers don't matter here because it's on the zone. The only thing that he needs for him to spin this as a success, well, he needs two things. He needs Joshua to win, obviously, and the second thing he needs is a packed arena. Now, why would he make it more difficult for the packed arena to happen by buying an allocation of tickets and then putting them on Viagogo for a higher price? We're talking about a man who's part of a family that, unless either they're billionaires or they've got hundreds and millions of pounds, this event, the total gate of this event, wouldn't make a dent into the net worth of the Hearns. Now, I totally understand this theory about buying some of the tickets to, to create more interest and make people make people think that they need to go to the event, they need to be there. I understand that theory, but I don't think that this is happening here simply because these tickets have now appeared on Viagogo. If they wanted to, kind of buy some of the allocation of the pre-sales, and then stick them back into the general sale pot at the same price, the same face value that they were in pre-sale, they could have just done that, and I don't think anyone would have known if that's happened or not. If that makes sense. So if there's a $1,000 ticket that's part of the MSG pre-sale, they've gone ahead and bought that ticket. Now that ticket is in the possession of Matchroom. They can just go and stick that back into their own general sale, the general sale allocation that they're managing, and no one will be none the wiser. They can stick it back at face value, and no one would care. The fact that some of these, and obviously I'm not saying every single one of these tickets have appeared on Viagogo. It's just some of them at an inflated price. And the reason why I think that's happened is people in the UK are chancing. They're chancing that Anthony Joshua fans are going to be heading over to the States in their droves. And I don't think it's a short game with them. I don't think it's them saying, oh yeah, if I put it in Viagogo now, someone's going to buy it tomorrow. I think what they're waiting for is people that are kind of coming towards the second week of May, and they're thinking, fuck it, I want to go. I want to go to the fight. But now all the tickets have been sold out. Then that's when they start consulting the secondary market to start looking for people selling their tickets. And I think that's what they're banking on. Now, this article on World Boxing News, it doesn't say how many tickets have appeared on the secondary market. It just says some have appeared. It could be 10, it could be 1,000. I have no idea. But I just kind of wanted to kind of give my 2 pence worth in this scenario, in terms of Eddie Hearn buying the tickets and then putting them into the secondary market himself to make more money. I personally don't think he's done that in the UK, and I don't think he's doing it here. Whether he's bought some of the allocation, and like I said, they're going to take them out of the pre-sales and then just stick them into general sale when it on StubHub. That's a possibility. That's feasible. I don't know how legal that is, but I can see it working, and I can see them being able to do that. But the fact that some of them have come onto Viagogo, I think that kind of negates the logic of Eddie Hearn, kind of buying these tickets himself, if that makes sense. I generally believe it's organisations, it's people that do this professionally although it's illegal, there's people out there that just basically live off buying tickets for one price and then selling them for a profit. And I think that's what's happened here. Now I've heard a lot of people talk about how Joshua hasn't got a hardcore following. All of his fans are casuals, so they won't travel out to support him in the States. They don't care enough to support him. They're not passionate enough. The thing I think the point that people are missing here is we're talking about a man that's basically he's able to sell 90,000 tickets on a fight, on a standard fight for him against, I don't know, Joshua Parker, someone like that, who isn't a household name. If he can sell 90,000 tickets, a large proportion of the crowd that go out and see him aren't okay. So let me rephrase this. The reason why I think there's going to be a number of people from the UK that are going to fly out to watch Joshua fight is this. So the argument is that he hasn't got hardcore passionate fans. Now, boxing traditionally is a sport for the working class, like myself, and the hardcore passionate fans of a boxer are usually someone from his hometown, someone from that person's community, and those hardcore passionate fans are generally working class. And people that have got fans that travel to watch them, Ricky Hatton previously, and Tyson Fury did it against Deontay Wilder. Now Joshua hasn't, although he's from humble beginnings, he hasn't got this passionate, hardcore fan base that follows him around. I agree with that. But what he has got is a large fan base where there's where there's a lot of middle class people that have disposable income that are willing to fork out money to watch him fight. And this fan base that I'm referring to buy into the fact that boxing in the UK is now cool. It's a different sport to what it was when Ricky Hatton had a load of people traveling to watch him fight against Floyd Mayweather in the States. It's a different crowd at these events that Matchroom put on. It's not your traditional kind of basically football fans that enjoy boxing too. That's the kind of crowd you see at a Josh Warrington fight, and there's nothing against that. I'm not saying there's anything against that, because that's your traditional boxing fan, because your boxers don't make it into the mainstream. They're not usually mainstream stars. Ricky Hatton made it into the mainstream because he was a world champion, and he only really kind of became a big name, a popular name in the mainstream in the UK when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Before that, he was packing out arenas, don't get me wrong. He was a big sports star, but he wasn't a big star generally. Like, people wouldn't really recognize him if they weren't into sports. Joshua, on the other hand, he's crossed over. He comes on kind of late night TV shows. He's recognized across the UK. And because of this stardom that he has a big following amongst casual fans, and casual fans that are middle class, that have money to spend, money to spend on plane tickets to go to New York, money to spend on accommodation in New York, money to spend on tickets to watch him fight in New York. These people have tapped into the fact that boxing is now cool. They may not follow boxing like I do or you do if you're watching this. But I tell you what, when Joshua fights, they know about it, and all of a sudden they have an opinion. It kind of makes me cringe sometimes, because I'll be watching, I don't know, I'll be watching a Hatman video or someone else, or I'd be just watching an IFL video, and I look at the comments, and some of the things that people say, I think, for fuck's sake, man, like, You don't really know what you're on about. But these people are the same people that go to these events. And like I said, when it comes to Joshua, he's a mainstream star. Just look at the numbers that he does on IFL compared to other boxers when he's, even just little things like a public workout before, during fight week when all the hype and tension is in the air, or a press conference. Look at the numbers this week, tomorrow, when he has his press conference with Jarrell Miller. Look at Eddie Hearn's numbers nowadays. Eddie Hearn, just a standard 15-20 minute chat with Kugan Cassius, he's doing at least 300k views. Not all of these 300,000 people are hardcore fans. These guys aren't sitting around like me watching undercard fighters have their interviews where you get like 8,000 views, 9,000, 10,000 views. They're not sitting around watching fucking Tunde Ajayi on Boxing Social like I am. People need to understand that there's there's a casual market, but this casual market do things because they think they're cool. It's a cool thing to do. And this is the market that Eddie Hearn is marketing this fight to. And that's why I think that there'll be a big UK crowd. But this big UK crowd, they may not be the passionate type, like how Ricky Hatton used to have a fucking band turn up and everyone chanting is, walking in a Hatton Wonderland and shit like that. You might not get all of that fanfare, but you're going to get a shitload of people nonetheless. You might not get like how Conor McGregor, when the Irish turn up for Conor McGregor, I don't know if you watch it, but like the way they kind of chant and take over the streets and stuff, you might not get all of that with Joshua. But come fight night, you get bums in seats, I guarantee you that. But anyway, I've gone off the subject totally there. I don't even know how long I've been fucking talking for. But fucking hell, we've gone a bit long with this one. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to give my kind of opinion on this pre-sale saga. Press conference tomorrow, so I'll obviously be reacting to that, and I'll be kind of giving my opinion on how things are going there. And comment below, let me know what you think about what I've just said, and please share this with your mates. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.